Well, the city of Bristol is in a state of shock at the fatal stabbing of two teenage boys at about 11:15 on Saturday night in the Knowle West district of the city. The boys, Max Dixon, 16, and Mason Rees, 15, were named today. They'd been attacked by a number of people and they later died in hospital. Well, there was a candlelit vigil last night in the location of the killings and a meeting between police and members of the community at lunchtime today. Our reporter Dan Johnson has been in Bristol today and can tell us more about today's events, Dan, and great sadness and shock in the city.
Absolutely, yes, and quite a considerable degree of concern and anxiety about what this means, what this says about the level of knife crime that is prevalent in this community and in others too. The shock of such young teenage lives being taken in such a violent act late on Saturday night. Now, the police have already made 4 arrests, but they say they believe others were involved in this incident. They are being hunted. They are promising the community that they will get to the bottom of this, that they will find those responsible and give them those answers. But there was a meeting today where people were expressing their worries and their concerns about things here getting out of control. They've talked of rival gangs representing different postcodes, falling out with each other, resorting to violence. And this is what people told me as they were leaving that meeting a little earlier.
My daughter didn't want to go to school this morning. I take her to school now and picks her up. So she's scared to go out in the street. She's known Max and Mason since nursery, so it's hit her pretty hard.
And people are saying they weren't the sort of boys who were caught up in this.
They was lovely, smiley, happy kids.
The mood is very emotional, very angry about what's going on. The fact that the area, there's no funding coming into the area. It's been starved of fund in this area along here for many, many years. We've been trying for 2 years, over 2 years, with Bristol City Council to try and get the old youth club back. Marvin's having no push on it whatsoever. And I think he needs to be absolutely disgusted with what he's doing to this area here.
You think this area's been neglected?
Yeah, definitely. You only got to look around. You know, it's been neglected for years.
I'm so shocked that these postcode wars has come to this for 2 innocent little boys to lose their lives.
When's it going to stop? Enough's enough, really.
It's because it's taken all these people... How many lives is it going to take for it to stop? Like, they need to build new things to, like, so young people could go and feel safe instead of wandering the streets.
It makes me scared to have children of my own and bring them up in an area like this. It's sad. Like, I'd want my kids to grow up in an area, in the area I was brought up in, but it makes you think twice about it.
Well, voices in that Knowle West district of Bristol where these fatal stabbings occurred. And Dan, what comes through that is a sense by residents there, their district has been neglected.
Yeah, they clearly feel let down by the police, by the council, by the community services. They've talked about how things like the youth clubs here have closed, how funding has been withdrawn, how they just haven't been able to get the attention of the city council and other agencies. That spotlight is on them now because the worst possible thing has happened. People are stunned, are shocked, but they are determined that this will make a difference. The police are playing down the talk of a gang war. They say that they don't have the evidence of that, but they are determined to get the answers that people in this community want.
Dan Johnson, thanks for that. Well, Marvin Rees is the Mayor of Bristol, the Labour Mayor. You heard him referred to there, and he joins us live now. Marvin, thanks for joining us, and I will come to some of the points the residents were making, their sense of neglect. But I just wonder, I know you were at the vigil last night, what your feelings are at this event that's occurred in Bristol.
Well, just like everyone else, it's incredibly sad. As a father myself, first thoughts go to the parents going through a pain that no parent should ever have to face. But I know the community's been rocked and it's echoed out across the whole city as well. And it's, we've had a number of high profile deaths in the city through stabbing over the last few years. And so it's sad that despite all the efforts that are going on, we still have these tragedies coming to Bristol.
You will have picked up in that vox pop we just played, you will have picked it up for yourself, enormous grief, but also a sense of anger that area has been neglected. You heard reference to the youth club closing and other accusations that the city had left Knowle West behind. Do you accept that has happened over the last few years?
Well, it's a difficult one to get into now because I don't want to be involved in quoting sums of money and initiatives that are started up. What is true is that Knowle West is one of the areas in Bristol that for decades now has been one of the most deprived parts of Bristol, with some of the worst social outcomes in terms of educational outcomes for children, young people, health outcomes, levels of unemployment. And that's the truth. Knowle West, along with places like Lawrence Weston, Lawrence Hill, Southmead, we've got a number of areas like that in the city that is really fractured across race and class lines in many ways. At the same time, it is also the case that since coming in, we've really made a point about trying to, address those inequalities in Bristol through a number of initiatives. So, like I said, I don't want to be in the ping pong of we cite an initiative and someone says nothing's happening. All those things are true at the same time. But what we have at the moment here are two boys that have lost their lives and their families that are, undergoing incredible grief right now.
And anger? Have you encountered much anger when you've visited for the vigil last night, for example? Have people come to you and said, it's terrible what's happened to this part of our city?
Yeah, people are angry at the vigil. When I was at young Eddie's vigil last year, again, lots of anger about why it's happened. But again, the drivers of knife crime are from many different places. It is, without doubt, there will be a connection to underfunding. And the point you've heard me made before, Evan, is you can't go through 14 years now of disinvestment in local government, in communities across this country, without there being consequences. It is not possible for local authorities to balance their budgets without it having an impact on frontline interventions. And what we do at local government level is not just provide services, we provide early intervention that work against these negative outcomes somewhere down the line. So this is, there is consequence. But again, the drivers will be many. There'll be manipulation going on. There'll be elements of criminality in the origins, not in the young people themselves, but, around those drivers of knife crime. So, it's going to take a whole city, a whole village approach to support the families, and also to minimise the potential of this happening again in the future.
Marvin Rees, Mayor of Bristol, thank you for joining us.